Hey designers! This tutorial is to show you the basics of Adobe Illustrator. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of dull and kind of boring, but you have to know these basics in order to do everything else that's super cool in Adobe Illustrator. So let's get started. When you open up Adobe Illustrator, it's going to give you the option to create a new document. We're going to be making print documents. So you're going to click on that, give it a title. This is going to be Skill Builder 1. When you come to it, it might be in points. Okay, so because we're going to be thinking about printing, I want you to switch it to inches. You're not going to print this, but just get in the habit of checking your sizes. Standard size with this is going to be letter, which is 8.5 by 11. You choose if you want the orientation to be horizontal, vertical or horizontal. Okay, your choice. Then you're going to click OK. So now we're going to talk about the workspace. Adobe Illustrator is laid out very similar to Adobe Photoshop. On the top, we have our menu bar, which is going to give you our main options. Up on the menu bar, if we go to Window and then Workspace, we can see that there's different options. If you really like the way Photoshop is laid out, it gives you the option to click on Like Photoshop, and it'll give you all of your panels to look like that. We're not going to really use all of this stuff. We're going to use some different panels, so you don't have to have it laid out like this. So I suggest your workspace is laid out with essentials, and then we'll click on those whenever we need them. So whenever you need to change that, go ahead and use Window and Workspace to do that. On the left side of the screen, you're going to see a ribbon of tools. These tools we will use a ton. This is going to be your main area that you're going to go when we're working in this. This is a floating panel, so you do have the option to pull it out from here and move it to a new spot. If you do accidentally close this out, so if you click on the X, go ahead and do it. You can just go up to Window, go to Tools right here under Control. And it's going to bring it back up. And then if I want it to sit to the left here, I'm just going to bring it over, and you can see the blue line on the left. So it's going to stick into that spot. When we look at this, we're going to see the tools. Whenever we see a little black triangle, that's going to tell us that there's more tools underneath there. When we hover over an area, it's also going to tell us what the tool is and the keyboard shortcut for that. So we can see under the pen tool, if I click and hold, it's going to give me other options here. All right, now we're going to look at the right side of the screen, and we're going to see the panels over here. So similar idea to the tools. When we click on it, or when we hover over it, we're going to see the name, and when we click on it, it's going to show us more about it. One thing to note that we'll use often is there are more options available. So if you click down here, it's going to give you options that you can work with in each different panel. If you ever come to this and you don't see it, so maybe it looks like this, you're going to either click down to bring it all up, or you'll click on the options and it'll show you more as well. Underneath the menu bar here, we have the control panel. This does a lot of the same things that our panels do over here. We're not going to use the control panel a lot. You're welcome to use it some, but we're going to focus on the different panels over here, the palettes, in order to really get all of the details. Otherwise, we miss out on some of the options that are over here. Okay, now we know a little bit more about the space. What we're going to do is start working with a few of the basic tools. One of the main tools that you will use in here is the pen tool. So if we go over to the tools right here, we're going to first make a line. So in our toolbox, we're going to select the pen tool. You don't need any of the other ones, like the anchor points or anything like that yet. We're just going to do the pen tool. What I want you to do is go to your document, click down somewhere. Just click once, you're not going to drag. And then you're going to move around and select another spot and click down once. And what that does is create a line for you. There is a line specifically for making a line, but pen tool is our foundation that we're going to use all the time. And so I want you to get used to using that. Now, once you've done that, we're going to look at the selection tools. There's two different kinds. We'll get to the second one in just a minute, but we're going to start with our direct selection. When you click on that, you can see that it brings this blue bounding box going around it and also makes the line fairly blue. I'm going to use Control plus to zoom in, and you can see more details of that line, and Control minus to zoom out. With the selection tool, it does two things. It tells the Illustrator that we're done drawing our line, and second, it's just a way to select things in our document. So if you click in the white space, that's going to deselect and take the selection off of that. And then when I click on it, you can see that blue bounding box comes up again. Now we're going to start modifying our line. So we are going to modify the stroke of it. Yes, there are options on ways to do that up here, but we have more options once we actually go to our panels over here. So I'm going to go down until I see these 4 lines here, and I hover over it, and it says stroke. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change the weight. So what I want you to do is on this, I want you to change the weight. You can either type in, maybe I'll do 8 points, press enter. You can see that it made my line bigger, or you can use the arrow keys and do it little by little. Points is the unit of measurement that we use oftentimes in Illustrator. So you'll get used to seeing that as well. Now we're going to change the color of our line. So if we go up to the panels, we can see colors. There's 2 different ways that we can change colors. One is the fill and one is the stroke, and each object has a fill and a stroke. When I click on my colors right here, so I can go over here and I can click on colors, so you can see that my line is changing colors as I click on different colors. You're also going to see that it's changing over here. If you ever don't see your colors changing, you're going to want to come over here and click X, because probably what's happening is right now my fill color, so I have a fill color and a stroke. My fill color is probably in front. So when I go and I click to change the color of my lines, you can see here and here that it's changed the color, but it hasn't actually changed it for my line. If I do the arrow key here, this is going to be Shift X, I can switch which color has which here. So now you can see that it has the yellow on my line. But if I want to specifically work with my stroke and not my fill, I want the stroke shape to be in front. So I'm going to click X. You can see that it brings it forward here. And now, once again, when I click on my colors, it's going to easily change those. Okay, so I want you to get your line to a color that you like. So I'm going to choose one here. And then a really cool and slick trick is you can easily duplicate this line. Okay, so make sure you've got it selected. So if it's not for some reason, click on it and select it. And if you're using a Mac, you're going to use the Option key, but any PC users are going to click and hold Alt. When I do that, I want you to watch my cursor. You can see that a second white cursor comes up, and that shows me that it's going to copy it. So when I click and drag, I've got another one duplicated right away. This is a lot quicker than doing a Control C and then a Control V to paste. So the copy and paste, so it's very efficient and very fast. So I want you to duplicate and make 5 lines. So I'm going to do Alt, click, drag, Alt, click, drag, Alt, click, drag. So I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on there. Then I've got another one. All right. So I'm going to show you one other way to modify your lines, and then I want you to have 5 lines, and I want them all to be different. So if we go back over to stroke, we can see that there's an option for dash line. I want you to click on that, and you can see that it's changed this into a dash line. So it's giving me a default of 2 points for that dash line. I can modify this how I'd like to. So maybe I'm going to switch it to 8 points and press enter. I can change the gap. So maybe I want the gap very small. So I'll just do 1. Or if you don't do that, it's going to do the default. And I can change my dash. So you can modify this how you would like. Okay, so it's going to change it. You can create your own pattern. Okay, so I want you to have a dash line. I want you to change the dash line in some way. Maybe I'll bring the weight down, and I would also like you to change the color. So I'm going to go back up to color over here. I'm going to choose a different color. And then I'm going to select my next line, and I'm going to do, I want you to change it in some other way. So change the stroke. Maybe this time you're going to make it really thick. Maybe I'll try 30. And now one other thing that I'm going to show you is it's going to show you how to modify the end of the line. So if I zoom in, Control plus, and I've made this really big for you to see it. Right to the right of the weight, it's going to show you the different kind of caps. Okay, so this first cap is going to show you the anchor point, and it's going to have the end of the line right up next to it. You can have a round cap to go make it a little bit softer end, and you can have a straight end that comes out of where the anchor point is. Okay, we'll see how these change throughout when we're working with different shapes. So make one with a round cap, and then modify, and then change the color of this, and then I want you to modify your other two lines as well.